Are you tired of drawing bunch of legless people floating around? Well, I'm not. But it's still fine to learn how to draw legs, because yeah, you can check the hip video as well, since it's also related. Before I get to the muscle anatomy, I want to talk about the basic form of the legs. This part is mostly similar for both male and female legs, really. Both the upper and the lower leg are just slightly different shaped tubes. The upper leg curves a little from the front and is flatter from the back. And it's the opposite for the lower leg. The lower leg is also curved from the front as well. We also have the knees that are simplified into spheres, but I'll talk about them on the movement part of the video. The upper leg shape would get curvier and plump with more fat on it. The lower leg shape wouldn't change that much. Now, about the muscles. Let's draw some people with the Gojo Satoru build and see what we have to work with. When going over muscle anatomy, I'll probably go with a male presenting figure. In real life, especially if really muscular, male and female legs do start to look similar anyways. If you wanna be a bit more stylized about it, you could make the female ones a bit rounder, I guess, but I won't be talking about that right now. For the muscles we have the quads, sartorius, adductors, the lateral muscle group, and the calves, and glutes, hamstrings, and we also have this guy on the side. I don't know its name. I'm sorry, I'm self-taught. You don't really need to know the name of these guys. You don't have to know how they look like fully 100% either. You just have to be able to indicate them on certain poses where they're relevant. Now, let me cover them individually. The quads are these three organic forms on the front of the leg. From the inner side, they are defined by the sartorius. When portraying them, try to think about the dynamic of how the middle one is, well, in the middle of the other two. Sartorius. It's basically this rope that follows a spiraling path across the leg. It starts near the ending of the obliques on the front and ends around the knees on the back. I usually don't portray its form that much, but rather keep in mind how it defines the shape of the muscles around it. When the legs are decently fit, the sartorius creates this rhythm of two C-curves on the inner side of the leg. The adductors. They're this inner area of the legs. The lateral muscle group. They are this group of muscles on the front of the lower leg. They just create this contrast with the opposite side that's a lot more empty. The calves. They are visible from both front and the back. They are a combination of these two parts. The way they connect up to the knees is really important. Portraying it well usually sells back views. The glutes. I mostly skipped over this on the hips video surprisingly, so let me cover it here. consists of these three parts. The first part is visible from the front, and it may not actually be a part of the glutes, I don't know. I usually like to ignore it and combine it with the solid mass of the hips. The other two parts, they're just the ass part. Combined, they have this butterfly shape. And we also have this guy that starts sort of connected to the glute and goes to the knees from the outer side. And lastly, the hamstrings. They're this back area of the upper leg. They connect to the knees from the sides, kind of like the tricep muscles of the arm. They're also pretty important for back views. Now, about the movement of the legs. They can bend from the hips and also the knees. When they're raised, combined with the butt, the upper leg will get this sort of S-curved shape. When they bend from the knees, the lower leg also follows this curve. And also, some of the muscles and the fat near the knees starts to squish. I don't know how this bending works fully when it comes to the knees. But I always portray the knees as this bump with two planes. When the legs are bending, I just make this bump a bit bigger and more rectangular. As I've said, I don't fully understand the anatomy behind it. Gonna be drawing a few more examples. I don't really have a recipe for the legs really, since they're not as complex as the hips, so a recipe isn't really necessary. Sometimes I use cylinders that I've shown in the beginning, sometimes I just scribble some ovals, and sometimes I use lines. That's gonna be it for this video. I hope this was helpful. If it was, I'd really appreciate if you subscribed. This video was a bit rushed, so it lacks in examples a little I think. So I will hopefully be compensating for that on part 2. Be on the lookout for it. Thank you for watching till then. Have a nice day.